Welcome back, history enthusiasts. Today, our path leads us to the chilling legacy of the Buchenwald concentration camp, a somber testament to the depths of human cruelty during the Third Reich. From its establishment in 1937 to the harrowing reign of Karl and Ilse Koch, this is a tale that reveals the darkest chapters of World War II. The Buchenwald concentration camp, situated near the city of Weimar, began its horrific operations on August 16, 1937. It would go down in history as one of the most horrifying death camps of the Third Reich, second only to Auschwitz. At the helm of this nightmarish institution were Karl Koch and his wife, Ilse Koch. They would become infamous for their sadistic and brutal treatment of the camp's prisoners, turning the lives of countless individuals into a living hell. Karl Koch, the initial commandant of Buchenwald, earned a reputation for his ruthless and inhumane behavior towards the camp's inmates. But his notoriety would be outshone by his wife, Ilse Koch, whose transformation from an unassuming librarian to a heartless executioner remains a chilling example of the depths of human cruelty. Ilse Koch was born in 1906 in Dresden, into a working-class family. A diligent student, she displayed an affinity for learning and a cheerful disposition. Her early years held no hint of the malevolence that would later define her. Prior to her involvement with the Nazis, Ilse worked as a stenographer and librarian, a far cry from the role she would play in the years to come. What could possibly drive an ordinary woman who led such an unremarkable life before the war to become an unrelenting tormentor with no trace of empathy? In 1932, Ilse joined the NSDAP, immersing herself in the Nazi ideology. By 1934, she had married Karl Koch, a man who shared her sadistic inclinations. 2 years later, the couple found themselves stationed at the Sachsenhausen concentration camp, where Karl's cruelty was already evident. It was in 1939 that the Kochs were given the task of establishing the Buchenwald concentration camp. As Karl's ambitions aligned with Ilse's selfish desires, the full extent of her perversity came to light. The camp's gates bore the inscription "Jedem das Sein," a phrase that traditionally represents the principle of justice. Tragically, the Nazis twisted its meaning, placing it above the entrance to Buchenwald as a cruel mockery of the suffering within. Buchenwald, initially established as a labor camp, lacked the gas chambers associated with immediate mass extermination. However, those deemed unfit for labor faced direct destruction. This was particularly true for those who couldn't fit into the cramped barracks. These individuals were subjected to medical examinations, during which they were shot point-blank in the back of the head while their height was being measured through a hole in the wall. Though not officially labeled a death camp, Buchenwald began exterminating people as early as the summer of 1937. As World War II progressed, the camp's purpose evolved. Those too weak, sick, or young to work were sent to their deaths, while those considered capable of contributing to the Reich's war machine were subjected to grueling work in inhumane conditions. Starvation, exhaustion, and maltreatment pushed prisoners to the brink of death, while industrial firms in the vicinity exploited their labor. It's estimated that hundreds, if not thousands of lives were lost every day within the confines of this camp. In line with Heinrich Himmler's directives, medical experiments were conducted on Buchenwald's inmates, leading to the agonizing deaths of many. Diseases such as typhus and tuberculosis were deliberately introduced, and attempts were made to test the efficacy of vaccines against these pathogens. Homosexual prisoners were subjected to hormonal experiments under the pretense of treatment. While Karl Koch reveled in his power and witnessed the daily destruction of lives, his wife Ilse took even greater pleasure in the torment of the prisoners. Within the camp, she instilled more fear than even the commandant himself. Ilse was known to roam the premises, doling out lashings to anyone she encountered in their striped uniforms. On occasion, she would bring along a fierce shepherd dog, finding amusement in setting it upon pregnant women or prisoners burdened by heavy loads. It's no surprise that the prisoners came to refer to her as the Witch of Buchenwald. Just when the prisoners believed that they had endured the worst of the torments, Ilse would conjure up new atrocities. She would order male prisoners to strip, paying special attention to those with tattoos adorning their skin. Such tattoos were a signal of a potential victim. She earned the grisly moniker Frau Lampshade due to her gruesome practice of using the skin of murdered men to create various household items, displaying an unsettling pride in her creations. One prisoner who worked in the Buchenwald pathology laboratory, Albert Pronowski, recounted that those prisoners selected by Ilse with tattoos were taken to the dispensary. There, they were lethally injected, and their skin was carefully removed for her morbid crafts. It was often the skin of gypsies and Russian prisoners of war that she found most suitable for her purposes. In the midst of these horrors, it's worth noting that Ilse Koch also led a seemingly ordinary life as a mother of 3 within the camp. The juxtaposition of her maternal role with her sadistic actions highlights the complexity of her character and the stark contrasts that existed within her. Over the course of its existence, Buchenwald saw more than 250,000 people pass through its gates, with a staggering death toll of 56,000. The gruesome craft that Ilse practiced did not go unnoticed by the authorities. In late 1941, the Kochs were brought before an SS court in Kassel, accused of excessive cruelty and moral decay. Shockingly, they managed to evade punishment as the court deemed them victims of slander by ill-wishers. Following this, Karl Koch briefly served as an advisor in another concentration camp before returning to Buchenwald to continue their reign of terror. However, their reign would soon come to an end. In 1944, Karl Koch faced a military tribunal for the murder of an SS man who had reported his extortion activities. Koch's theft of gold crowns and jewelry intended for the Reichsbank safes, rather than his gruesome tortures and murders, proved to be his downfall. He was found guilty and executed in April 1945, just days before the camp's liberation by Allied forces. As April 1945 brought the impending victory over Nazi Germany, the prisoners of Buchenwald, driven by desperation and determination, managed to construct a secret radio receiver. They communicated with American troops, revealing their plans to revolt and seize the camp. Despite the odds stacked against them, these courageous individuals managed to overpower their guards and take control of the camp before the arrival of the American forces. American General Emil Kiel presided over Ilse Koch's trial and sentenced her to life imprisonment. Despite her heinous actions, she continued to deny her crimes, claiming to have merely served the regime. She denied accusations of crafting items from human skin and portrayed herself as a victim of conspiracy. However, her claims fell on deaf ears. On September 1, 1965, while incarcerated in a Bavarian prison, she had her final meal, penned a farewell letter to her son, and used sheets to end her own life. The legacy of Buchenwald is a haunting reminder of the depths of human cruelty that were reached during World War II. The sadistic actions of the Kochs left an indelible mark on history, forever associated with the suffering and death inflicted upon the innocent. The bravery of the prisoners who managed to wrest control of the camp in its final days stands as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of unimaginable horrors. As the world continues to grapple with the lessons of history, the memory of Buchenwald serves as a solemn reminder of the atrocities that must never be forgotten. Thank you for joining us on this historical adventure. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating stories from the past. Until next time.